disadvantage?
You always try to keep it as tight. You know, we put double-sided tape on our shoulder pads and then stick them to the shoulder pads in the shirt and the jersey. And you tuck it up as tight as possible because you don't want, last thing you want is defensive lineman trying to grab you. Like back before, like my rookie year, like some of the old vets back then said, the guys used to wash their jerseys in a silicone base to make it really slick. I mean, yeah, they had all kinds of tricks. I mean, but the tighter was always the better. I mean, you just don't want anything. Even though we didn't like the way it looked around the midsection sometimes, but you know, we just had to make do with that. So.
And Q, talk about from a wide receiver standpoint. I remember, as a lot of people do, you used to. I recall wide receivers, especially in the '70s and the '80s, with like the baggy arms and really not as tailored and fit as they are. And talk about the evolution from the wide receiver position. What's important to you from a uniform standpoint?
I was a little boy in the '70s and '80s, Blue.
Me too.
But I will tell you this: in the '90s, when Ed McCaffrey played for the Denver Broncos, he started tailoring his uniform, and it was another young kid named Justin Armour who was a wide receiver there and looked up to Ed McCaffrey. And so when Justin became a free agent in '99 to the Baltimore Ravens, Justin started talking to me about how to modify your uniform. And what Dennis and Toy are talking about as far as the fit of the uniform, well, from the thickness of the pants and the tightness of it all, I went to our equipment man back then, Ed Carroll, and I told him, I was like, well, you know, I can't move in this. Can we get somebody? So we literally altered our uniform. We created a gusset in the middle to give you more breathability. We cut out all the lining in the pads that would, well, I shouldn't say in the pads, that doesn't make sense. In the pants that holds the pads, we took all that out. Tailored my jersey to cut off anything extra, but yet give me more room. I had my shoulder pads custom down so they can give me an opportunity to move my arms in front of me and up above me. And it was all because of a kid named Justin Armour who looked at Ed McCaffrey, and Ed McCaffrey wore the least amount of stuff possible for his uniform because it was all about trying to be as light as he possibly could. And to me, it borderline on dangerous, but for me, I just wanted it to feel like how I felt in practice. Put on my practice gear, go out there and practice, you don't think about it. I wanted to have that same sensation when I put on my game uniform, and I think we had the best equipment manager in the NFL, and I think they still got a great guy carrying on that tradition now that Ed is retired. But I mean, yeah, you could pretty much do whatever you want to do with that uniform within the rules. And I mean, it got to the point where I hated tucking my jersey in, like this shirt is really long. Oh, the uniform police are coming around and fine, you gotta have your jersey tucked in. Okay, well, we had it tailored to the point where it was just enough so it looked like it was tucked in, and referees didn't have a problem with it, I didn't have a problem with it, and off we went. So
that's great. Let me stay on this topic one more and we'll go to the next question. Andy, let me ask you a question. We were talking last night when you're scouting in the ACC and the Big East and the MEAC, you know, whether it's uniforms or on-field demeanor, you can look at the physical attributes of a potential kid in college who could be an NFL pro, but do you look at things like how do they wear their uniform, how do they interact with teammates and coaches on the sideline, how do they carry themselves on the field, and then you rate them accordingly? Is that a big part of your job?
You do. I think when you go to a game, especially when you're watching quarterbacks, I remember going to watch Joe Flacco play at Delaware when they played Richmond, and they didn't really have much of a press box. So I sat across from the Delaware bench to get a good view of it. And you just saw every time, you know, you can't see this on film, but every time they came to the sideline, you get around the offensive linemen, the skill guys, and huddle them, and just the command he had, the communication, and you just saw the leadership. You can see that on the sideline, like going up and down the bench and talking to guys. Those are things you look for when you go to watch quarterbacks play, because they don't show up on the game film that you're watching. You want to see the command they have on the sideline, in the huddle, and just how they're interacting, you know, when the defense is on the field and they're on the sideline with their teammates.
Next question.